only like if he was expecting close to 1 million people, like 1,200 or 12, yeah, like 1,200 people showed up. Like if you look at the images of the stadium, the cameras from TV were trying to show the people who were there. They tried to center and gather them. The rest of the stadium is literally empty, the floor, but like right above their heads, all around them.
Oh, I see.
At the Tulsa event, right? And then in the middle of that speech, when they realized like no one was showing up, they had to start tearing down the stage they built outside because if you look at video of Trump returning to the White House in that day, this man has no care about anything. Anything. This was like the first time people really saw how bothered he was.
Like he looked mad that he was gonna do this event, and then it looked like nobody showed up.
His team was bragging about it, right? They were bragging like, "Oh, we're gonna have 1 million people to show up because we moved it from Juneteenth because he's doing this in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right?" And he's Trump, so somebody had to tell him like, don't go to a place where there's a massacre on a black holiday. So he's like, all right, so we'll just do it the day before. So when people found that out, my thing is, we all know that whoever does Trump's social media is bad at their job, right? And I don't feel like it's their fault. I feel like he warns Trump, and Trump's just like, I don't care. I'm Donald Trump. But then this happens, and I don't know how you miss a bunch of TikTokers and K-pop fans and like all the like basic Gen Z geek kind of people send out tweets and DMs across the board like, hey, you should just do this thing. And like we're talking about you have 1,200
like
people show up.
They should have known.
Somebody should have noticed like 900,000 people trolling them. Somebody. Like even if it was the head of the Treasury,
they should be fired.
Yeah, like this would be the one time Donald Trump fires somebody, and you're like, yeah, I get it. I definitely get it.
I cannot with Trump though. Like it still amazes me that he got elected president of the United States after Obama.
No,
like after we had that whole Obama reign.
I think that's exactly why.
Oh my God, I don't know.
Look,
like
I said it on camera here. I said it to the people at my union off camera. I said it to everybody. The moment the Democrats pick Hillary over Bernie, Donald Trump would be president. I called it. I begged people to feel the burn, and now they really feel it.
Did you vote?
Yeah, Bernie.
Oh, okay. I voted for Hillary.
You're part of the problem. Thank you for Donald Trump.
Thank you. I did. But I do plan... Oh my God, you want me to get into... Okay, why I voted for Hillary? I voted for Hillary because I feel like I wasn't following the news at that point, and at that point in time, like, all my friends and all my family were saying, oh, you need to vote for Hillary. So I was like, okay, I'm going to vote for Hillary, make some moves.
Oh, I know what you were thinking. Yeah.
Oh my God, but...
That's literally, like, all she had was... It could be the first female president, especially when you saw the garbage that all the Republicans had. You're like, if Donald Trump is the best of this, we got this.
But Bernie didn't go to the end, did he? I don't think he did.
Bernie was the last candidate against Hillary, and it was still a relatively close race until some of the last primaries. It wasn't like anybody lost on a big Super Tuesday. There was those two. It was like what happened with her and Obama. They're all the way to the end, and then he won it. That's what...
True. But it's Obama. He deserves to win. I'm sorry, Hillary.
Okay, I gotta be honest on this one. The first election, he did not deserve to win.
Oh my God, are you telling me you did not vote for Obama on his first election? No, wait, I don't think we could have voted. I think it was his second election. Because we were like old enough then.
Obama won the first election for two reasons. A, he was black, and a lot of black people didn't know what his platform were, but they knew he was black, like the Boondocks said. Like the Boondocks said.
Okay, yeah.
And two, Sarah Palin.
Okay, yeah. Sarah Palin had that whole thing going on. But
no. If John McCain picked anybody, I mean anybody, other than Sarah Palin, he would have won that election.
Okay, but I feel like really bad for Sarah Palin because how journalists was coming at her, like...
I don't.
It was like a whole bunch of gotcha journalism with Sarah Palin, like saying that this woman, like she doesn't know what she's talking about.
But she doesn't.
And it's bad because it's not like she said that she specializes in this, but it is politics.
She's a politician.
That's why I just feel a little bit bad.
one of the heads of, I mean, it's Alaska, but still one of the heads of a state. I mean, you can't really be ahead. Okay, put it to you this way: for the same reason people came at Donald Trump for inquiring about how we can put something like Lysol into a cure, right? He didn't. Okay. If you really watch it,
oh my God, the whole Lysol thing.
If you really watch it, he wasn't telling anybody. He was inquiring to the doctors that are sitting on the side. He's not even looking at the camera as he says it, right? If we're gonna jump on him for asking a question, then we can easily jump on someone who is literally answering a question without being able to name any sort of publication at all.
Okay.
Or talking about the fact that she can see Russia from her window.
She didn't say that.
Yes, she did.
Stop. No, I'm trying to defend this woman.
No, she actually said that. She's like, I'm from Alaska. We can see Russia from our window. I'm like,
Excuse me?
So, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm going to leave that be. I'm going to leave her be.
Well, that was one of my favorite moments in all of TV history because I couldn't believe it actually happened.
But let me ask this. Because Obama, he's mixed race. He's half white and half black. Mm-hmm. If he came out the gate and he was like, I don't really represent black people. I feel like I'm more into my white side than my black side. Then do you think he would have still won that election? If he said that, then no.
Especially if he said that. It would have been over.
I think so too. I do think so.
I mean, at one point, they first tried to say that he wasn't American. Then they started trying to talk about the fact that he wasn't raised by his father. Then I think the lashback to that was, but he spent time with his grandmother in African. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I guess that counts. No, he wasn't. That's messed up. That's really messed up. That's the worst.
He had to acknowledge his black side. He definitely did.
He had to. We're not talking about logic here. He looks it. He couldn't hide from it if he wanted to.
That's true.
He would look dumb like that person that ended up on Dr. Phil.
Who ended up on Dr. Phil?
She was dead on Dr. Phil talking about
oh my God,
I'm not black.
The lady, yes. I know who you're talking about. It was okay. That was crazy.
That was a given.
See you See, someone like Logic has to tell you they're black. You're like, are you sure? And then they show you a picture of their dad. You're like, okay, I guess.
Dr. Phil be having a whole bunch of crazy people on his show.
You gotta love it.
That's when Murray said, look at the eyes. Look at
Bro. Maury is the best. I don't care what anyone says. Maury is the best out of everybody because I don't know how this man spent his entire career calling out bad baby daddies and cheaters, right?
Oh, Lord.
And yet, everyone seems to forget that he got caught cheating on his wife.
What?
See, exactly. People forget this.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
That was the thing because he was married to someone else on the same network. And then he got caught cheating with her, and that's when Maury went from being all like, and you shouldn't do this to your girlfriend, and to being all like, we can get you counseling.
Oh my God. Hold on, but wait, Maury's show is still not even on.
No, the reruns play. The reruns play.
Is it still going?
So this is what happened. Maury and Jerry Springer, they both, I think, ended or stopped making new episodes for a while at some point last year. They tried putting in different shows into the time slots between 10 and 2 because they literally had different combinations of hours during then.
Yeah.
And then I saw recently in the last 2 months
that
Maury and Jerry have both been airing on Channel 11 again somewhere between 11 and 1.
Oh my God. I can't believe this man cheated on his wife.
Of course. He's freaking Maury.
It's a whole thing. Okay. All right.
I mean, the only thing I don't know is if it was some of them that came from that episode where you're trying to find out if it's a man or not. But
I really want to research this because I want to know who he was married to. Was it it was a younger woman?
Was it Connie Chung?
It was Connie.
It's Connie Chung. That's his wife.
Oh my God.
She's a news anchor on Channel 11. That's why it blew up. It was a thing.
Okay. All right. I don't know how I missed that. That's just crazy.
Okay, so I'm 92. I'm 1992.
We're born the same year.
And you missed this.
I did. You know why? Because I do not be following the news as much as I need to. Because I do the news all the time for my job. Once I'm done my 9 to 5, I just kick back and relax. I'm not looking at nothing at all.
So you gotta forget that this is news and this is entertainment television. Extra.
That's true.
See?
I'm gonna start following it now.
I'm telling you,
because,
it's
like,
hilarious.
You can't be hitting me with these facts and then I don't know like what it is. It's no.
Now I know we made some fun out of Donald Trump, but he did do something good, and I like to be in the middle in politics. So when it comes to Trump, he did something very good, and what he recently did was pass a bill, mostly pushed by Ivanka, but he passed a bill which was to take away the need for a degree for federal jobs, and it's more so the highest to level out the playing field because, you know, of the disparity of minorities and colleges. So
Okay, I did hear about that.
see, that's not.
But my whole thing about that thing is like, even though that bill is passed, and like if you send your resume out to an employer, is he still gonna be looking at it like, oh, this person didn't go to college, but
Well,
they were working in this field
part
for
of
like
it
10
is
years?
part of it is that a lot of the,
Should
especially when
I?
it comes to like tech, a
Okay.
lot of the smartest brains are hackers who never went to school for it.
Okay,
So that's where it
facts.
really becomes an advantage for more so government security, which is
That's
going to be
true.
his whole "see, Russia couldn't touch us" kind of thing as he's running for president. So
Okay.
that's where that's about. It's more so that's going to be more applicable to, you know, security
Mm-hmm.
services, tech. I mean, you know, they were recently hiring for different types of like officers and stenographers and stuff in different courthouses. So it'll be more so the lower tier jobs. We're not talking about anything fancy. I think that they're actually gonna.
I think so.
You know,
I think so. But could you like call out the employer if you like he tells you, oh, I can't hire you because you know you didn't go
in
to
general,
college.
that's the problem with a lot of hiring laws because, like, okay, so New York City recently, in the last year or so, passed that whole you can't deny someone work because they wear dreads. So now they have to find another like reason to say that they hired someone else. But it's a law now; you can't discriminate.
Mm,
But it'll happen. I mean, you know, they just passed a federal law. You can't do stuff because people are, you know, part of the LGBTQ group,
yeah, that's
and then they're gonna find other reasons as to not to hire them. You know,
that's true.
so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the I guess the what you need written down on paper.
Yeah, but it's okay. Wasn't Obama trying to do like some loan forgiveness thing for people who went to college and then they like have all these loans and stuff like that?
That's a lot of stuff that's going down, and I mean,
Whatever happened to that? Because I feel like
colleges.
doing college for like how many years? I was probably in college for like 7 years of my life. And now like Trump is passing this thing and then he's like, now you don't have to go to college because your skills, they matter and stuff like that.
Well,
That would have definitely helped me way back when.
well, that's only federal jobs. I mean, you know, if you're trying to get a job with a private corporation, you still want that paperwork.
I just did not like going to college.
Yeah, I know exactly how that feels. But at the moment, we're gonna go to our next commercial break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk a little bit about the movies. So, but yes, no, college, yeah. Hey everybody, I'm Lil D.
I am Javier Luis.
I'm Alex Polanco.
I'm Apollonia Cruz.
And I'm Kelly Caboose.
I am Charlie Phillips.
I am Emmanuel Anzule.
Do you know 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence?
During their lifetime,
And domestic violence and abuse can happen to anyone.
Regardless of gender, race, or other factors.
2 out of 3 homicide cases are
Females who were killed by a family member or intimate partner.
As domestic violence victims, they face high rates of depression,
Sleep disturbances,
Anxiety.
flashbacks and other emotional distresses.
And without help, witnesses of domestic violence are more vulnerable to become abusers themselves.
Thus continuing the cycle of violence in the next generation.
Hello, I'm Charles Aloma. Join the LDM network and Safe Horizon and take a step into changing these facts. So if you are or know someone that is being abused, please call the City Domestic Hotline at 1-800-621-4673. So that is 1-800-621-HOPE.
Speak up.
Speak out.
And make a difference.
And just know that you don't have to deal with this alone. There is help. Hello, I'm Charles Aloma, and I'm proud to announce a new internet television station called LDM Network. And on this station, we're going to be bringing you live talk shows, music reviews, independent music artists, videos, sports, live events, and much, much more. Go to www.ldmnetwork.net for more information and all the shows that are going to be.
I am. That's why I said it. Harvard, you suck. All right. So, did you watch anything this past week or so
Okay, I
that
did.
you can remember?
Yes, I did. So I was like chilling, relaxing
Relaxing, how
after
cool?
work. Yeah, just whatever.
Shooting some people outside of the school?
Let me finish.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got jokes. Okay. Anyways, there's this show on Netflix, a movie, and it's called The Half of It, right? So you saw To All the Boys I Loved Before?
Yes.
It's basically like that, but it's a little bit different. So there's this girl, Ellie Chu, who's also Asian, and she's like really smart in high school. And this boy who approaches her, and he's saying that he likes this girl, and he asks Ellie Chu to write him a love letter so that the girl named Aster would fall for him. And it's not really a love story because they tell you that up front, but what is so great about this, because as the movie progresses, you find out that Ellie Chu has a crush on the girl who she's writing the love letter for, so then you find out that she's like a lesbian. But then you also find out that the guy who said that he was in love with Aster in the first place, like, he finds out that he's actually in love with Ellie Chu. So it's like a whole messy love triangle and everything, and in the end, I don't know if I should, like, in the end...
You pretty much gave the whole movie away anyways, so...
In the end, nobody ends up with anyone, which is, I feel like it's the greatest thing ever, because I don't like rom-coms that's like, you could tell they're going to be together because they're just the best friends.
I've seen this movie.
You've seen it?
I would not qualify it as a comedy.
What? Well, it had its moments.
I mean,
had its moments.
it was an attempt, but
Oh
it
my
wasn't
God.
that funny.
Okay, but the whole message of
No,
it.
the
it had a
messiness
good
was
message.
it was entertaining. I just feel it was more a drama than a comedy. It just I was not. I did not. Haha.
Okay.
There wasn't a lot
There's
of.
no hee and
Look,
ha ha.
a lot of rom-coms have way more physical comedy, let alone actual punchlines.
Were you laughing into All the Boys I Loved Before?
To be honest, there was some of the stuff I was because of
God.
how dumb she was.
Oh my God.
I'm not sure if they were
You were
intentional
laughing at
jokes.
her pain. You were laughing at her pain.
I was laughing at how slow she was, especially when she was
Oh,
talking
Lord.
about being in love with the gay guy.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I'm like,
She
how'd
was.
you miss that one?
She was, but he wasn't like out there with his with how he was. He wasn't.
Maybe I just got the eye. I don't know. But that was no surprise.
But anyway, what I liked at the end was that, like, she did kiss Aster, and they had that beautiful moment, and then Aster was like, I'm not a lesbian, but, like, in a
Thanks.
couple of years, maybe, we'll see.
That's so
And it
random
was-
too.
It
Like
was left on a good note. She was like, oh, maybe we might get together in the future.
I'm not a lesbian now, but I might be in the future. That's such a like you expected her to be waiting for you for like 4 years. Like you're about to graduate and be like, so I'll be back in town in like 4 years.
Let's see what happens.
I'm not even coming back for Christmas break after experimenting a little bit that first semester. So you gotta wait until the end. I need that paperwork
Oh my God.
first.
I really feel like you just hated the protagonist. You did not like
No.
Ellie Chu at all.
No, I didn't mind her. I really didn't like the guy.
The guy, what was his name? I keep thinking he's Josh, but it wasn't Josh.
I don't remember. He's just literally the one guy besides her father
Okay,
for like the
yeah.
majority of the movie.
Yeah, that's true. But the father's story was also really sad. That how he ended up in the small town and everything because his English wasn't up to par.
And then he's
But
left
his
working the
English
trains.
was actually really good. So it was like kind of racist that
I
he
mean,
can't move up because of his English.
Look, understand that I work in a field with a lot of Asian people, and the number of patients who get mad when I can clearly understand the doctor, but that's because there's a little bit of something. They're just like, speak English! I'm like, he is speaking English. Speak English! And I'm like,
Hold on, wait, the
Good shit.
doctor is Asian?
so like I'll have Indian or Chinese or whatever doctors, right?
Okay.
And they'll have an accent, and I can understand them clear as day, but the patients be acting like they're speaking their traditional language.
Oh my God. Are they old? They're old patients?
No!
Okay, then I don't understand.
Yeah,
that.
they're just
I don't
people just can't
understand.
deal with accents.
I don't understand that. My ex-boyfriend was Japanese and he had an accent and I could definitely like understand everything that he was saying. So
It's not hard.
Yeah, it was a little bit racist in the movie. And it made me cry.
But you have to also consider where they're at too.
Yeah.
Like, we're not talking about New York City.
But what would you give it out of 5 stars? The half of it.
3. It wasn't bad, but it is passable. Like, I don't feel like you need to watch it.
Yeah, I would say 3. I might mention it in conversation, but I don't know if I would go out of my way to be like, hey, you need to see this movie.
Exactly.
It was sad.
It was.
like that.
I was like, okay, this isn't bad. I can see what people would like in it. It just wasn't doing it for me.
Did you like it more than To All the Boys?
No, I like To All the Boys. The first part, anyway,
really?
better.
I liked it more than To All the Boys.
I like to actually laugh.
Maybe I didn't like the. No.
The second
she
part was,
I don't know.
yeah, I'm not even. But the first part I enjoyed.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. Let's see. Oh, well, since you were talking about a movie with an Asian lead, one thing I watched was Joy Coy in My Element, right? And so
why is he laughing when you say that?
because he watched it, and his wife is Filipina.
Okay. All right.
So Joy Coy.
No.
So he's a Filipino comedian.
Okay.
Well, half Filipino, right? I think he's half Filipino, half white. I think he's half. But he's a Filipino guy who grew up with black people in America, right?
Okay.
But this particular stand-up is not just a stand-up. He wanted to get a bunch of different other like Filipino Americans over to the Philippines and show them people who haven't been there and people who haven't been there in a while and just kind of bring everybody home, right? And then
Okay.
expose Filipino culture.
Wait, it's a
to the world.
documentary?
No, it's hard to explain because it's kind of a documentary in a sense, but
like
it's really it's
how-
supposed to be the back. I guess they show you the behind the scenes that lead to this on stage performances, if that makes sense.
What is the on? It's like he's doing a comedy.
So
set?
he does like he's hosting a show.
Okay.
He has 2 comedians. He has a producer. He has a dance crew, right?
Okay.
And then he's explaining, who these people are, where they're from in the Philippines, things like that. That led to the production of the show.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Okay, I get it now.
So the only thing about this was he was saying as he's hosting, like he wanted to show Filipino culture to the world. But it pretty much to me felt like a bunch of Asian people trying to be black for the entirety of the entire thing. Like he wanted to show Filipino culture, and the most Filipino things I got were some traditional drums and a hip hop production. So he found an Asian hip hop producer from America and one from the Philippines. They created the intro to his song. They took some traditional Filipino sounds and then kind of like added the 808,
Oh.
right?
okay.
Then he wanted to show, Filipinos dancing. So he found part of Team USA's breakdance crew, and they did a whole
Couldn't say it
breakdance
like that.
performance.
Oh
Like,
my god.
I understand
He
what
grew
he
up
was
in
going.
America?
He grew up here and there,
Oh,
right? And he
both.
grew up really here, mostly with black people. So I get it. Like, but I'm like, this when you tell me I'm going to give you Filipino culture.
It's not really
the
Filipino.
only other thing I got besides those drums was like a good 5-minute where he was going OD about chicken adobo.
And the jitney.
Yeah, and the jitney. Yo, they were all hyped like, yo, this is the jitney my dad always talks about, because they'd never been to the Philippines before. That was nice. But like, they're 3
Okay.
pieces of actual Filipino culture.
Oh, you calling this man out right now?
Yeah, because I'm just like, dude. See. My thing is, I've especially the last 2 years, I've been getting really into comedy on a global scale, right?
Okay.
Especially since in more of the other countries I've been getting into it, it's been more of an acceptable career. A lot of people are blowing up, and they're finally getting to the West. People are willing to translate. Netflix is making it easier. So it's been really interesting to learn about other cultures, because I feel comedy is a good way to learn about other cultures, since the comedians are able to talk about certain things.
That's true.
And in a way to either try and relate it to you or at least teach you. So like my favorite comedian in the last 2-3 years, it went from Trevor Noah to Veer Das, because every time I watch Veer Das, I'm left wanting to learn more about India.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a good job. Like,
Right?
the comedian is doing his job.
Right. And then the entire time you're laughing. Whatever
Yeah.
you don't understand, he explains, and then it makes it even funnier. Like,
Yeah.
it's really well done. But my thing is like when I'm watching this, like I'm enjoying the fact, and that's just always been me. I like to learn about other cultures, so I'm enjoying that. So I'm watching this, hoping that Joy Coy's gonna, put me onto some I'm like, yo, it's everything Rhea done talked about back when, because his wife is Filipina. So I'm like,
enjoy it.
She's taught me more than this freaking stand up.
Yeah, we only enjoyed the stand-up part. The other part,
that was it.
because the stand-up part, they were making fun of the Filipino ways.
Oh
and even more
But
so,
the documentary part.
but even
all
that
right.
even that part was more so because they're not from the Philippines. So
Yeah.
about how being Filipino is weird in America is the stand up that they're doing. Like I was like,
you make me not want to watch it now. I was like, oh, okay. When you were starting off, I
right?
was like, okay, maybe, but like
because that's how I felt.
nah.
I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. When they would put the trailer on, I'm like, yeah. And he's like, it's in my element. Like, yeah. And then it felt like a bunch of Asian people trying to be black from, like they're from California. I was just like,
That's time in your life you're never gonna get back. Watching
yeah.
that.
And I you know what? I can't really say it was bad, but this is definitely another 3. Where it's just like
3 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, 3 out of 5.
For someone that doesn't know Joe Coy, don't watch this first.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
you never think
wanna
he's
see it.
funny.
He's
because
really
hilarious.
funny. Like the stand up,
he is.
the
Yeah.
stand up that he had before this had me
he
rolling. You know Little Dicky,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So you know how like why he has his name?
Yeah.
My dude Joe Coy has a whole bit about that
Oh my god.
and being like, but I'm rich.
Okay. So I can't watch this with my parents in the room. Like I have to be like by myself if I watch his comedy special.
Well, he doesn't curse like that, or does but
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's not OD. It's not like
Right.
he's gonna whip it out.
Okay.
yeah.
But I mean, then again, I cannot tell people what to do with their families, considering that at the, I guess it was like 18 or something. Me and my friend ended up watching a softcore porn and a Justin Timberlake concert at the same time with his grandparents.
Okay.
Oh my god. TMI.
So like, I'm not a good reference to what can you watch with family,
How do you but oh my god.
because it was
How do you watch
it was a
that
good
with someone?
it was a good enough movie where there were actually long talking scenes that we didn't realize what it was until we realized the sex scenes were just a little too long.
Hold on, wait. Okay, you said the Justin Timberlake concert.
So essentially, whenever the concert was going on commercial break, we would switch to the other movie, and then be like, "All right, so we got this is
Oh
okay.
my
Back to
God.
Justin Timberlake." Because it was literally like
you and your friend are really close. I feel like that's like a solo activity that you like.
sitting there watching the concert. His grandparents will come in, and it turns out his grandma likes Justin Timberlake.
Oh my
right?
god.
And which was really surprising because she's like a 70-something-year-old Jamaican lady.
Okay.
Right? And then they're like, the commercial comes on, and the grandfather's just like, I don't watch these. And turns to the next station, and then there were people having sex. He said, oh, we'll watch this during commercial break.
Oh my god.
So it was just like, I guess. So it was a very interesting 2 hours.
That is interesting. Okay.
It was a
alright.
Ghost in a Teeny Bikini and Future Sex Love Sound. Perfect combination.
Okay.
True story.
Okay. No, I believe you. I, do
I can't
believe you.
make this up.
Like, all right.
But yes. Then there were a bunch of season 2s that dropped recently. So Mr. Iglesias came back with season 2. I will give it a 3.5 out of 5 just because I feel like it's worth watching, but it definitely isn't as funny as season 1, and you can tell that it's because they got cut off due to Corona. Like production got cut short, so they had to rush it.
You could tell.
Yeah, you can tell. The story wasn't supposed to end where it ended.
Wait, what? It's like a drama.
No, it's like those old school comedies that used to be like Full House and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, like a sitcom.
Yeah, it's a sitcom, but you can tell that like they were just kind